Hey everyone, welcome back here to my channel where I play Plants Zoo. My name is Nissa and today we are building for the Jaguar here in King Island Zoo. So if you want to learn a little bit about the Jaguar or simply know how I built this habitat, then please keep watching. Okay guys, let's just get into it. And let's just start by talking of why the Jaguar. First of all, we will have some issue by getting them here. Literally, we are in a small island based off the Australian or Tasmanian coast. But the thing is though, I thought there is a few reasons that the Jaguar actually makes sense. I want this path down here just to be South American animals. So first of all, I wanted something South American. But at the same time, I thought in Asia, we actually have a lot of different kinds of pandas. And pandas and jaguars are not the same, but people in the general region may confuse them. So I thought it would be nice to actually see, okay, this is fairly similar to something we have nearby, but it's not the same at all. I will also mention that this island is, of course, not Asian, but Tasmanian. But I just figured that, like a lot of Danish people, this vacation in South Europe and kind of down to Africa, but overseas travels to the US or South America or to Asia and Oceania is more a rarer thing. So I kind of assumed that people from Oceania primarily would vacation either in Oceania or in Asia. Again, there will always be people more travel than others, but just like a general thought. Before I forget the fence, I just put in the stonework. I would like to have chosen another if I had all the mats on currently, but I don't. Because there's a finer mesh and I don't want the claws to be able to get out through the mesh. But I would like the vets, for instance, to be able to get a tranquilizer in there. So I wanted that specific size of mesh. I also put glass in the windows to the house for the staff house in the back. The ones that also hold the Tasmanian devil. And I thought that was really important because I don't want a window. Most of the windows in that building will just be like open holes so you can get fresh air in all the time. But specifically here, we don't want it to be open. We don't even want it to be possible to open it because we just don't want a day where we have a stupid intern or someone who really don't think about it and just accidentally open the windows to the jaguars. These jaguars also don't necessarily have to come from South America. Of course, their genetics will, but they themselves could either have come from other zoos nearby. Nowadays, a lot of zoos have a big work togetherness around getting animals around the world and breeding systems, so we have fresh blood around all the time. So that's being one possibility. Another one would, of course, being that these are left by a zoo or not a zoo, a circus or something like that, and this is the zoo's attempt to give them at least a decent life for what they have left. And I do believe more and more zoos does this. I have talked before about Knuthenborg Safari Park, which have taken in some of the Ukrainian lionesses that were affected by the war. But we also, they also specialize, and the reason they have that big habitat ready that they could borrow, actually a tiger habitat, because they kind of specialize in earlier circus tigers or tigers that came from private property that wasn't probably taken care of. So that kind of story. So therefore, I'm not sure we actually would have babies in here, but of course I needed them to breathe because we want to see the babies. But if we should go all realistic, I probably shouldn't have given them any babies. The jaguar in the feline family, being the Felidae, not to be confused with the Filifemia, which is the suborder, which also are cats. But when we go in a little closer, look at the genus, we are looking at the Panthera. Panthera is probably the most famous kitty genus that we have. It holds 26 different species, and it's like the biggest of the cats. We are looking at the Panthera leo, being the lion, Panthera tigris, the tiger, Panthera onca, which is the jaguar, Panthera pardus, the leopard, and of course a lot of different subspecies. For instance, the Panthera leo persia, which is the Asian lion, and the Panthera pardus fusca, which is the Indian leopard. So once again, a lot of these bigger cats. However, sadly, a lot of them are extinct at this point. And it is kind of funny to look at these and say that the jaguar actually is closer related to the African lion than, for instance, the black-footed cat that also live in Africa, or they live relatively close, and therefore it makes sense their genus would be close related compared to something that on a completely different continent. And let's face it, it have been quite a while since genetic from animals from Africa to South America would have been naturally passed on, unless it is swimming animals or animals that really are able to fly quite a while. I also just mentioned that this is the jaguar, that this is the only living Panthera member in the Americas. And people probably want to mention that they also have the cougar, but the cougar have another genus, being the puma, which hold only 6 species, which is the cougar, the Gironde, the Florida panther, the South American cougar, North American cougar, Puma pumoides. So those big cats are not Panthera, but the rest of the big cats are. Furthermore, the jaguar is the largest cat in the Americas, being both the North and the South. And they are the 3rd largest cat in the world. They also feature prominently in some indigenous religions, such as the Aztecs and Mayans. Normally, this is not something that is too fascinating, but it gives the jaguar a very unique spot, being that there isn't really a lot that can hurt them in their natural range. Of course, they can get unlucky with a alligator, or they could get unlucky with a human, of course. But for animals that would actually hunt these regularly, that doesn't really happen. This also makes their bodies very different from what we see in, for instance, the African cats or the Asian cats. And this is simply that in Asia and Africa, there is a lot of different kinds of cats, making them have to be specialized cats. For instance, cheetahs wouldn't simply survive if their only chance were to hunt in the same way than lions do, because the bigger lions would take more of the prey, and at the same time they are pack animals, and at the same time they would also be able to just beat the cheetah if they wanted. So that wouldn't make the cheetah able to function and survive in the wild. However, because it is specialized to being really, really quick and being able to actually climb with their prey, they are much more protected for bigger, better predators. However, the jaguars have small specializations that have arrived over time based on where they live. They are, of course, from South America, being Argentina, Belize, Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Guatemala, Guyana, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Suriname, United States, and Venezuela. Within this, they are living in a vast different kind of both climate zones, since we are both looking at the temperate and the tropical, but also biome-wise, where we are looking at tropical rainforest, montane forest, wetlands, swamps, savanna, scrubland, mountains, and anthropogenic. So all of these different kind of area actually makes the jaguars living in these kinds of area kind of specialized for it, because the jaguars, they are in general built compact, but their color scheme can vary a lot, being a complete black panther, which is kind of fascinating to dive down in, but we won't do that today, to a really, really pale colorations. With leopards, for instance, we have a lot of subspecies of leopards, where some of them are really pale in color compared to others, but here they are still the same. There's no subspecies of jaguars. These are the same animals, but generally just will vary. For instance, jaguars that live in the deep forest where it's darker, there's a lot of foliage, there's a lot of coverage, they want to hide behind this, so they are generally darker and they are generally smaller than jaguars living more around more open spaces that have to kind of protect themselves in a more aggressive way more than a hiding way. In this habitat, of course, I make it a very, very foliage-filled habitat. However, it's not like a really, really tropical forest. There would be many more trees. And I actually protect the trees we have in here because jaguars are heavy and they can really hurt the trees a lot if they start climbing in them, and at the same time they could use these trees to escape, so we put these metal barriers around it. I know it doesn't look perfect, but I think it looks at least good. I kind of wish the game had some kind of function that when you turn climbing off on the trees, then they would have some kind of natural fencing around it against the animal. That would be so cool. But yeah, this is what I went with today. I didn't want it to just be some places it's enough to just have like chicken fence around. The jaguars wouldn't care about that. They would probably just pull it down and then climb. So yeah, we needed something strong today. And our jaguars here would of course come from captivity, so if they even were used to climbing would be a question. And furthermore, if they would be the smaller, darker variation or the lighter, more bulkier variation, it's again, it's up to genetics, so it's where their forefathers came from. But in general, a lot of zoo animals have just been inbred, like you wouldn't in zoos have over time gone for a specific one and maybe not be aware that there were variations here, so therefore just have bred them together. It's the same with lions and it's the same with leopards, because people didn't know there were so many different subspecies, so they're just leopards and lions and mix of everything in together. We even breed tigers and lions together in some areas, which is kind of weird, but also kind of interesting that it is possible. One thing I forgot to build into this habitat was simply a way to split it up, because jaguars are highly solitary creatures. Males will have these giant territories that they will really ferociously defend if needed. However, females have smaller territories and they do overlap. So within a male's territory, he will have multiple females within it. So I don't assume it would be an issue to have males, females together. A male and one female, but I do believe still it would be a good thing to at least be able to split them up, and especially if there were to be offspring, which again is questionable for this specific habitat. So yeah, I wish I actually had made something like that. But when I thought about it, I was so long in the process and I didn't really see a good way to making it without actually breaking what I have built, and I really like what I have built. Sometimes I will go back and basically just start over, but in this case I really thought that hopefully it would work because I really like how this habitat ended out. And after I was on the building, I just thought that our capybaras on the other side here probably would be a little stressed by the Jaguars, so we just put in some extra rock there. Still left the fencing on the top so we could have natural airflow through, especially because we have glass even higher, so I wanted some kind of natural airflow through there. But just to block off, also so the Jaguars don't actually try to get through the fence, but the capybara would be able to kind of stay on their side and not see the Jaguar either. They will probably smell them, but they wouldn't be too stressed by them, hopefully. Okay guys, that's it for our jaguar habitat here in King Island Zoo. I really hope you enjoyed this. Again, this will probably be one of the more exotic and tropical animals compared to some of the others we will have here for peatbill native to King Island. But I really think this looks good. It is a filled habitat with a tropical vibe without making it impossible to see the animals. So yeah, I think we struck a good balance here, and again, hope you enjoyed it. As always guys, you know the drill. Like, subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you know the next time I upload a video. I really hope to see you again, either in the comments below or in the next video. Bye guys.